CE Special Monitoring Mission in Ukraine, Michael Bociurkiw, and he joins us now from Odesa. Thanks very much for your time here on BBC News. Can we just start by talking about those comments that President Zelensky made, that an army of Europe is needed to contain Russian aggression? What do you think these comments signal from the Ukrainian leader?
Sure. Well, judging by the rounds of applause that Mr. Zelensky received, he certainly learned the ingredients of the Kool-Aid that the Europeans like to drink. However, this proposal has fallen pretty flat. I mean, we heard the comments of the EU foreign policy chief and others, but I think Mr. Zelensky might be a little bit better off talking up more about more integration of Ukraine's army with NATO forces and neighboring forces, but also boasting about the amazing domestic production of things like drones that have happened here in Ukraine. But I don't claim to have a crystal ball, but I did predict in February 22 that this very day would come where the United States wants to step away and Ukraine is going to have to look more to European partners for protection.
What does that mean then, this prospect of less support from the US in terms of the conflict and also going forward in terms of the peace talks?
Well, it's pretty bad, and I don't want to be the prophet of doom, but let me give you a worst-case scenario that could happen, in fact, in the coming hours, and that is the United States is the lead ally that provides Ukraine with satellite intelligence information that allows it to target targets inside Russia. More importantly, for everyone here in Odesa and around Ukraine, is that the Americans happen to be the ones that provided the Patriot missile defense system. And without that, it's going to become very difficult to protect cities like this one, Odesa, the port infrastructure, and also big cities in Ukraine. So if I were Mr. Zelensky, I would quickly warn the Europeans of that. And I'd also remind them that words don't stop Russian missiles the way Patriot missile systems do.
And what about NATO membership? Why, in your estimation, hasn't Ukraine been granted membership to NATO already?
Well, I may not be very popular in Europe if I say this, but I'll say it anyway, is that I think the Europeans are still afraid of Mr. Putin. After all, he's threatened to use tactical nuclear weapons. They frequently fall for his bluffing. And of course, the more obvious aspect of this is that should Ukraine be part of NATO, it would the Article 5 collective security umbrella would be affected here. And also it would require NATO troops, NATO boots on the ground here if Russia were to go further. So it's all a very complicated picture. And I think the Ukrainians are slowly realizing that. It is a fact that NATO accession is part of the Ukrainian constitution, but it could ultimately be something that Mr. Zelensky may put aside for the time being. We will see.
You're currently in Ukraine. In your estimations, what do people there want to see happen?
Well, of course, they want to see an immediate end to the bloodshed. I have been here since the start, just before the start of the war, and I have never sensed a more darker mood than right now. And here in Odesa, it isn't necessarily the numbers of people that are leaving, it's who's leaving, really the movers and shakers who keep this very resilient city operating. And the other thing we're beginning to realize is that it won't be much longer until the millions of Ukrainians who have gone to places like Germany would now qualify for permanent residency or even citizenship there. So Mr. Putin's damage has been done on a very, very deep level for all of these Ukrainians to have left and the prospect possibly of them not coming back. So that's the best way I can sum it up for you. It's not a very positive message.